Starting us off in at number 10, Lobo the Duck. Lobo the Duck is strangely enough the combination of Lobo and Donald Duck. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, it's Howard the Duck, and was introduced in Lobo the Duck number 1 from 1997 and is present on Earth 9602, but in a timeline where the Amalgam heroes have died. Lobo the Duck is a fearless and strangely muscular, especially for a duck, anti-hero bounty hunter who, along with his shape-shifting canine sidekick Impossible Dog, is investigating the murders of several Amalgam Comics heroes. Lobo only agrees to find the murderers of these heroes if he gets paid up front though, but soon begins the investigation. Lobo fights his way through Gold Kidney Lady, Dr. Bongface, and various other supervillains before he realizes that the end of the world is about to begin and only he can stop it. He has all of Lobo's powers and abilities, including immortality, super strength, and a mastery of basically every weapon. He also has a genius level intellect, a superhuman sense of smell, can track anyone or anything across galaxies, and is a master of quack fu. Yeah, I just wanted an excuse to mention this guy, but honestly immortality makes him pretty damn powerful. And at 9, Pharaoh Man. Pharaoh Man is a combination of Colossus and Pharaoh Lad, and was introduced in X-Patrol number 1, which is clearly a combination of X-Men and Doom Patrol. Peter and his twin Alexei were all each other had, since even their mother couldn't bear to look at their faces. That's not even a face a mother could love. The twins shared everything from the moment they were born, but one day while saving Alexei's life from an oncoming truck, Peter changed into living metal, stopping it, revealing to himself that he was actually a metamutant, but Alexei was unfortunately not. Alexei's growing resentment drove him away from his brother until eventually he left Peter alone. After this, Peter was recruited by Niles Cable, a mysterious traveler from the future, to join the X-Patrol. In their first appearance in X-Patrol number 1, Pharaoh Man and his metamutant teammates became involved in the siege of Latkovia against Dr. Doomsday, a combination of Dr. Doom and Doomsday, which already sounds like Bad News Bears. He has all the powers of Colossus but can change into this form at will, like Pharaoh Lad. And at 8, Harold Stark. Harold Stark is a combination of Iron Man and Green Lantern, and was introduced in Iron Lantern number 1 in 1997. While making modifications to a stationary flight simulator, suddenly the simulator took off with Hal still inside. It seemed to be drawn to a crashed alien spaceship, but the simulator quickly lost power and crashed as well, but only yards from that spaceship. The crash left Hal in bad shape, with jagged metal piercing his chest, but nevertheless he made his way to that spaceship. That's resilience, where he found the corpse of an alien. In an effort to keep himself alive though, Hal used the alien technology in the ship to make a suit powered by the alien battery inside, which Hal noted looked remarkably like a lantern. Wearing this armor, Hal fought off the aliens who had shot down Romancer's ship, but was also seen by others, being called the Iron Lantern by the media. The suit of armor not only allowed him to survive, but gave him incredible powers, allowing him to create any object he pleased out of green energy, due to the battery he used being powered by the living planet. Iron Lantern has the technical and genius level intellect of Tony Stark, but has all the powers of Green Lantern, which is pretty damn cool. And it's 7, X-Stroke. X-Stroke the Eliminator is an amalgamation of Marvel's Executioner and DC's Deathstroke, and is an enemy of the X-Patrol. X-Stroke manipulated Terra X into betraying the X-Patrol, and had Pharaoh Man brought to X-Stroke himself. However, Niles Cable and the rest of the X-Patrol found a way to rescue Pharaoh Man, and defeated X-Stroke, while Terra X used her metamutant powers to escape X-Stroke's wrath, and was chased to Zenosha by Shatter Starfire, who ended up being attacked by Broodlings loyal to Brother Brood, while Terra X became possessed by the Brood. Yeah, but considering how Deathstroke and Executioner are both powerful individuals in their own right, I'm sure you can guess why they're on this list, even if they don't have much story after being introduced in the exciting X-Patrol number 1 in 1997. And it's 6, Hyena. Hyena, first introduced in Legends of the Dark Claw number 1 in 1966, is a combination of DC's Joker and Marvel's Sabretooth. He is the arch enemy of Darkclaw, a combination of DC's Batman and Marvel's Wolverine. His real name is Creed Harley Quinn. The Canadian government initiated the Weapon X project. Logan and Quinn of the Royal Canadian Armed Forces were both accepted as candidates for the project, along with 4 other volunteers. Logan's latent metamutant healing power kicks in though, which allows him to survive the adamantium crafting process. Creed survives as well, but becomes a remorseless killing machine, which is actually exactly what the project was hoping for. Creed's sanity does not fare well also, and he eventually goes rogue. Indestructible metal known as adamantium was bonded to Creed's skeleton, and he was given claws made of the same substance. Unlike Darkclaw, however, Creed was physically deformed as a result of the experiment because, he didn't have healing factors. But Project X also triggered a metamutant ability in Creed, who became known as HYENA. HYENA, also known as the Cackling Canine, will not stop his maniacal grinning until his arch nemesis Darkclaw is destroyed. And he has a gang called the Pack, which honestly I think is kinda cute. Still absolutely terrifying. It's the freaking Sabretooth and Joker! God. Halfway through into number 5, Dr. Doomsday. Dr. Doomsday, also known as Victor Von Doom, is the amalgam of Dr. Doom and Doomsday. I feel that's kind of obvious. A scientist who fused with an alien killing machine, Dr. Doomsday is one of the most dangerous villains alive. On more than one occasion, Dr. Doomsday has been mentioned as an ally to Thanoside, and is described by various heroes as someone close to evil incarnate. During the challenges of the Fantastic comic, Dr. Doomsday stole the powers of the Silver Racer to use as an attack on the challengers immediately after they had a battle with Galactiac. Dr. Doomsday returns to life every time he dies and becomes resistant or immune to what had killed him before. Dr. Doomsday possesses extreme physical strength. His other abilities include invulnerability to heat, cold, and injury, allowing him to survive on the most inhospitable worlds, as well as survive in the vacuum of space. Dr. Doomsday also possesses an inexhaustible stamina, which might be good for the ladies, but it seems like he's covered in little pricks instead. In at 4, Bizarnage. Bizarnage has got to be my new favorite amalgam villain now. I can't believe I didn't know this existed. A combination of Bizarro and Carnage, for crying out loud. Is there anything scarier? Introduced in Spider-Boy number 1 from 1996, Bizarnage was made through a botched experiment at Project Cadmus in an attempt to replicate alien DNA. The white goopy creature they created went crazy and began destroying everything and everyone in its way, as you know, Carnage do. Then Spider-Boy arrived and battled him. Bizarnage wanted to be Spider-Boy, so tried to instantly kill him. But he was eventually defeated by getting tricked by Spider-Boy and sucked into an energy containment unit. This thing looks like if Anti-Venom was Carnage, and honestly, I couldn't be happier. This is such a bad character. I wish that there was more of him. I love him so much. I want this on a display. I want this on my wall. I need it. There isn't much on him, but it's still super sexy, and honestly, I kinda wanna cosplay it now. I might, actually. Getting close to the end, in at number 3, White Witch. First appearing in Doctor Strange Fate number 1 from 1996, White Witch is a combination of Scarlet Witch and Zatanna. White Witch's origin is not completely known, but when she was introduced, she was acting as one of Doctor Strange Fate's aides. Fearing that access would divide the Amalgam universe back into its original 2 universes, Doctor Strange Fate decides to capture and exterminate him, so he has Mix mystically teleport his 3 agents into his sanctum, known as Arkham Tower. Strange Fate proceeded to explain to the 3 that access was a greater threat than any of their previous foes, including Mephisatanus or Baron Wotan. Access managed to escape Skulk and Jade Nova by teleporting, but White Witch approached him from behind, pushed him to the ground, climbed on top of him, and with a kiss, he was knocked out. Then White Witch said that you shouldn't send a girl or a monster to do a woman's job. White Witch has all the powers of both Scarlet Witch and Zatanna, making it obvious why Doctor Strange Fate would want her as his aide. That's insane. And it can only be topped by 2 people. Penultimately, in at number 2, Clark Kent. Super Soldier is fairly evidently the combination of Clark Kent and Steve Rogers, first being introduced in Marvel vs. DC number 3 from 1996. During World War II, government scientists were working on a super soldier formula that would transform a man into much more, into some sort of human weapon using cellular samples from an alien corpse. Clark Kent volunteers for the Super Soldier program, and they administer the formula, as well as a good chunk of solar radiation. This mixture gave Kent incredible abilities, including all of those of Captain America and Superman. Super strength, heat vision, flight, you name it. Now known as Super Soldier, Kent wields the Superman logo as his shield. In March of 1942, Super Soldier fought Ultra Metallo, a robot sent by Lex Luthor to aid Germany in winning the war by killing Clark. But the fight started in Washington, DC and ended above the northern Atlantic Ocean, when Clark sacrificed himself to take down the robot, sinking them both into the icy depths. Jimmy Olsen was one of the few witnesses, and instead reported that Super Soldier had retired after America had declared that they won the war. 50 years later, the body was thawed out in JLA number 4, and Clark joined the Judgment League Avengers as its leader. Finally, in at number 1, Dr. STRANGEFATE. Dr. STRANGEFATE is one of the most powerful beings on Earth 9602, being a combination of not only Dr. Strange and Dr. Fate, but Charles Xavier as well. While traveling through the Himalayas, Metamutant Charles Xavier was rescued by Nabu the Ancient One, who at the time was Lord Supreme of Order, which is a pretty damn impressive sounding title to say the least. Taught the mysteries of the supernatural world by Nabu, Charles taps into the energies and forces of both telepathic and mystical, making the Metamutant Sorcerer one of the most powerful beings in the Amalgam universe. Since he was already a powerful telepath, Charles quickly surpasses his teacher and was promoted to the new Lord Supreme of Order. Dr. STRANGEFATE was also one of the founding members of the Judgment League Avengers, and began pursuing threats in shadowy realms, leaving the protection of Earth to, you know, lesser beings.
Number 10. Trigger Twins. Northstar Trigger is one of the Trigger Twins who are known as the fastest guns in the West. They are part of the Old West area of the Amalgam universe. Northstar and his sister Aurora come from the Generation Hex Amalgam comic. Northstar himself seems to possess the power to fly, but it's unclear if he has any other powers, besides being a super fast shot, alongside his sister. Though it can be assumed that both Northstar and Aurora likely possess at least some version of their powers here, but still, perhaps just they're dulled down a lot, and obviously not all of their powers they usually have, they will have. Still, being the fastest shot and being able to fly even short distances in the Wild West would still be considered pretty impressive, even if the list just ends there. The Trigger Twins are a combination of the Bobier twins, Aurora Jean-Marie and Northstar Jean-Paul, from Marvel and DC's old Western characters, the Trigger Twins, Thomas and Tad. Number 9. Dare the Terminator. Dare the Terminator is a combination character of Slade Wilson aka Deathstroke from DC and Marvel's Daredevil, Matt Murdock. Although neither character is female, it seems as though there was a sprinkling in of Elektra, at least in terms of the character design here. I don't know if it's just me, but this design does seem to take some inspiration from Elektra. Dare the Terminator is the sworn enemy of Enigma Fisk, a corrupt mayor. Enigma Fisk once captured Dare and had little devil horns surgically grafted onto her head to make her more resemble the nickname given her of Daredevil. Dare is blind, but is also missing an eye, which was shot out by the villain Deadeye. And I know this is the most powerful list, so in case you were wondering what kind of powers we're talking about a lot of skilled fighting and assassin stuff. Because, you know, Daredevil and Deathstroke. And friends, before we move on to our next spot, just a quick reminder, if you want more Amalgam lists like this list, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 8. Bruce Wayne, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Bruce Wayne might not possess any powers as this amalgamated version, but when has that ever stopped him from being powerful? On part 1 of this list we talked about Darkclaw, the amalgamated version of Wolverine and Batman. Bruce Wayne, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. however is the amalgamated version of Nick Fury and Batman, so in other words, all the contingency plans. Bruce Wayne is inspired to join up with S.H.I.E.L.D. after his parents are killed at the hands of Hydra. He works his way up through the ranks and eventually becomes director, which means he also has all the power of S.H.I.E.L.D. behind him. Though some suspect that Bruce Wayne did not earn this promotion, but instead used his family fortune to buy S.H.I.E.L.D. as he aims to use its resources to get revenge for his parents' death, going after their killer, Green Skull.
And at 7, Dinah Prince. Dinah Prince, also known as Dinah of Themyscira, was first introduced in Bullets and Bracelets #1 and is a combination of Wonder Woman and Elektra. While still young, Dinah left Themyscira to explore man's world, leaving behind her family and her adopted sister Ororo. On her travels, she worked for the King of Wakanda, who gifted her adamantium bracelets. However, she later left to set up her own freelancing business in the US. There she met Trevor Castle and the two got married. At least, they were married until their infant son Ryan was mysteriously killed, and the emotional toll was too much. Both of them blamed themselves for not being able to save their son. They seemed to never plan on meeting again. However, Monarch brought the two together again and pitted them against Thanoside, a combination of Thanos and Darkseid. Yeah, he had perceived the Lord of Apocalypse was responsible for the fate of their son, but she discovered that Ryan was not dead, merely displaced in time, and had grown up to become Kanto. Knowing that their son was still alive, Dinah and Trevor seemed to restart their relationship. Dinah has the divine empowerment from Wonder Woman, giving her superhuman strength and durability, as well as a mastery over archery and hand-to-hand combat. And at 6, Logan Wayne. Logan Wayne is a combination of, obviously, Bruce Wayne and Logan, being first introduced in Marvel vs. DC #3, the same issue where this universe was created. At 5 years old, after witnessing his parents' murder murder at the hands of an armed robber, Logan Wayne was sent to live with his uncle in Alberta, Canada. His uncle was a member of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and was ambushed and murdered by poachers a short time after his arrival in Canada. After the death of his uncle, Logan was sent to live in a home run by nuns, and as soon as he was old enough, he enlisted in the Royal Canadian Air Forces. Logan was submitted to the Weapon X project, the Canadian Super Soldier program. It was here that Logan had adamantium bonded to his bones and learned of his metamutant nature. The Weapon X project was terminated due to his failure, because Logan was ineffective as a weapon because he had a conscience. But this didn't stop him from being pretty damn badass. Having all the powers of Logan as well as things like the Clawcopter and Clawmobile, this is in essence a superpowered Batman, which I think we all know is something to fear. And in 4, Blaze Allen. Speed Demon, first introduced in Speed Demon number 1, is aside from what you might have called your ex to your girlfriends, a combination of Barry Allen and Johnny Blaze. Blaze Allen was a circus daredevil who sold his soul to become the first Speed Demon. Yes, there are actually multiple Speed Demons. The demon component, Etrigan, was also formerly Jay Garrick before the Night Spectre stole Jay's soul. You know, Jay Garrick. Earth 2 Flash. The Night Spectre approached Blaze and asked him to serve in his mission to collect souls from the most pure and most corrupt, which just seems weird to me, but okay, you do you. But Blaze Allen refused, so in an attempt to persuade him, at his wedding Night Spectre stole Iris's soul. Blaze then accepted the bond, hoping to get Iris back, or at least ensure her safety. It didn't work. Speed Demon speaks only in rhymes, but is a speedster with a flaming skull head that can also breathe fire. Wally West, an amalgamation of Danny Ketch and obviously Wally West, was the next Speed Demon, who accepted the power in order to help his uncle Blaze get Iris back. It's funny, because in a couple of days I'm going on vacation and I'm making it my mission to try to convince at least one person to sell me their soul. Like, it's not actually gonna work, but I think it's gonna be funny if I can do it.
Number 3, Super Mutant. Super Mutant is the amalgamation of Marvel's mutant time traveler Bishop, Lucas Bishop, and DC's Man of Steel, and once their Man of Tomorrow, Superman, Kal-El, or Clark Kent if you prefer. He was another creation of Dr. Strangefate's brought together in his last moments of desperation. Personally, I think these two together would be insanely OP, because you've got the energy absorption and conversion powers of Bishop, and just the all-around invulnerability, strength, speed, and agility of Superman. That sounds pretty unstoppable to me. Of course, as this character only appeared briefly, we didn't really get to see what he was fully capable of. Sad face. Number 2, Green Phoenix. Green Phoenix is another Amalgam character who was made during the showdown between Dr. Strangefate and Access. She is the amalgamation of DC's Martian Manhunter and Marvel's Jean Grey as Phoenix. We really don't get to see much of her in action, but being that she's a combination of such powerhouse characters, it's definitely heavily implied that the Green Phoenix would kick a lot of butt had she continued to exist. With the powers of the Phoenix, Jean, and Martian Manhunter, I'd imagine in most cases she'd be unstoppable. However, before we could find out just how unstoppable, Dr. Strangefate was defeated and Green Phoenix's counterparts were separated. So, just returning to Martian Manhunter and Jean Grey. And it's because we didn't really get to see that much of her that I have decided, despite Green Phoenix in theory probably being one of the most powerful characters in the Amalgam universe, to hand off our number 1 spot to a character that we do get to see a lot more of in the Amalgam universe. Number 1, Amazon. Amazon is the amalgamation of Storm, Aurora Monroe, and Wonder Woman. She was the first amalgamation character that Dr. Strangefate reformed to defend the Amalgam universe in his fight against the Marvel and DC heroes in the miniseries DC/Marvel All Access. Amazon is probably one of the most powerful characters in the Amalgam universe because she is a combination of such epically powerful women. Despite the fact that Diana also exists in another form in this universe, Amazon is even more powerful than her, as she not only has the training, experience, and powers of an Amazonian warrior, but also is a meta mutant and possesses her weather control powers as well. So she's just crazy. I'm also really happy I got to put a version of Storm in a top 1 spot. It makes me feel really good. I love Storm so much!
And at 9, Brother Brood. Brother Brood is the leader of the Cult of Brood, a religious order built around a parasitic alien race. His thirst for power brought him into conflict with the X-Patrol, a combination of the X-Men and Doom Patrol. Brother Brood is an amalgamation of Brother Blood and the Brood race of aliens from Marvel Comics. This enigmatic cult leader was infected with an egg of a Brood Queen, and experienced a spiritual awakening, coming to believe that becoming one with the Brood was the only truth. Okay. The spawns he creates are called broodlings, and they're actually this guy's only family, and I don't know if that's more sad or creepy. He was first introduced in Exciting X Patrol number 1 in 1997, but honestly, this guy is more creepy than powerful, but he has a wicked looking suit. And that suit, along with the whole being part alien cult leader thing, is the reason he's on this list. And at 8, Nuke. Schooled since childhood in the arts of death, young Bane Simpson was raised in the cruel confines of a Hydra fortress known as Santa Prisca to become the perfect killer. When Green Skull, the supreme Hydra, needed a test subject for the new super steroid Venom, he knew that the soulless Simpson was the perfect choice. Outfitted with wrist-mounted Venom injectors, Nuke gained the ability to artificially increase his speed and strength to become an unstoppable murdering machine. All he needs to do is inject himself. He is a combination of Bane from DC and Nuke from the Marvel Universe. I was hoping for a Venomized Bane when I was looking at this, cause like, you know, Venom, but with a freaking Hydra symbol on his chest, this guy is still menacing as hell. A young Nuke may actually have been the Hydra agent responsible for murdering Bruce Wayne's parents as well, since in Istanbul, Turkey, young Bruce Wayne watched in horror as his 2 secret agent parents were ruthlessly assassinated by a faceless terrorist. The tragedy then left young Bruce Wayne orphaned and obsessed with fighting terrorism, setting the stage for his future career as director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Was it Nuke? Who knows?
Number 7. Spider-Boy. Spider-Boy made his first unnamed appearance in Marvel vs. DC issue 3, and his first named appearance in his self-titled comic series Spider-Boy issue number 1. He is the amalgamation of DC's Superboy, aka John Kent, and Marvel's Spider-Man, aka Peter Parker. His name is Peter Ross, and his powers are pretty epic and allow him to manipulate gravity. He can use his powers to move himself around, launching himself towards other objects by manipulating their gravitational pull, and he can also use his powers in a similar way to wall crawl and ceiling crawl, and to increase his overall strength, among other things. Honestly, I feel like if you can manipulate gravity, that's crazy powerful in terms of like physics. Number 6. Firebird. Firebird is the amalgamation of Marvel's Jean Grey, once known as the X-Men's Marvel Girl, and DC's Fire, who can turn her body into a living green flame and emits blasts of fire. Firebird made her first appearance in JLX issue number 1. And in case you didn't know, the JLX is actually a combination of the Justice League and the X-Men put together. Firebird was one of the members of the team and has psychokinetic flame powers. In other words, she is truly an amalgamation of the 2 characters that were combined to create her. Firebird's name is Beatriz Grey, also a combination of Beatriz da Costa and Jean Grey. Amalgamation all around. Number 5. Emerald Eye. Emerald Eye was a short-lived Amalgam character who appeared during Doctor Strangefate's last stand to try and protect and preserve the Amalgam universe. In fighting the heroes of both Marvel and DC's world as well as Access, he brought together more amalgamations, including an amalgamation seemingly of Marvel's X-Men leader Cyclops and DC's JLA member Green Lantern. Although based on the name of this character, it also seems likely that some influence could come from another Green Lantern based character or weapon really, the disembodied eye of Ekron, known as the Emerald Eye of Ekron, which is a powerful weapon that emits a green plasma beam, and made its first appearance in DC Comics back in 1967 in Adventure Comics issue 352. Number 4. Silver Racer. The Silver Racer is the amalgamation of Marvel's Silver Surfer and DC's Black Racer. He is both the Asgardian avatar of death and also possesses the power cosmic, or rather the ability to manipulate cosmic energy. So basically the power cosmic. Sadly, he would go on to become depowered in the Amalgam universe as Dr. Doomsday stole his power from him. However, at the peak of his power, being a combination of both of these crazy strong characters from the big 2, he was still likely one of the most powerful Amalgam characters that we'd seen. Honestly, any Silver Surfer amalgamation is going to be pretty nuts, and then imagine combining him with someone equally OP, if not more OP, like the Black Racer, the Agent of Death from the DC universe. Also, he's got skis, which is really the most powerful. If you're a hero and you have skis, I'm just saying.
Getting close to the end, into number 3, Thanoside. First appearing in Bullets and Bracelets number 1 in 1996, Thanoside is the ruler of Apocalypse, and his goal is to annihilate all of the universe except for Apocalypse, and to win the favor of Lady Death by finding the ultimate anti-life nullifier. He also teamed up with Dr. Doomsday during the events of Secret Crisis to destroy the universe, because you know, of course he did. Thanoside is obviously a combination of both Thanos and Darkseid, and his goals make that fairly evident. However, this this guy also has immortality, invulnerability, and superhuman strength. I didn't realize that immortality and invulnerability were different, but I mean, like, I guess invulnerability means that you can't really get injured, whereas immortality means you can't die, but you can't really have invulnerability without immortality, right? I don't know. What are the semantics of comic book powers anyway? Or was this wiki page too small so they needed to end up adding stuff to make it longer? So I don't know. Okay, who cares though? It's a comic, and it's a universe that no one really talks about anymore, unfortunately. I love this universe. Penultimately, in at number 2, Galactiac. A combination of Brainiac and Galactus, the seemingly ageless entity known as Galactiac is the ultimate synthesis of mind and machine. He traverses the farthest reaches of space, draining the lifeblood of planets in order to recharge his energy cells, but Galactiac does not completely obliterate the planets that he attacks. Rather, he always miniaturizes a section of each planet to preserve it in study, but only a section. Ben Grimm from the Challengers of the Fantastic attempted to destroy Galactiac's machinery, but Grimm's actions merely succeeded in gaining his attention and arousing his wrath. Galactiac used his cosmic powers to transform Grimm into the monstrous four-armed thing, a mindless minion devoted entirely to Galactiac. Meanwhile, someone else had transported Johnny Stormtrooper into the body of Galactiac in an attempt to destroy the planet-devouring menace from within. His first appearance was in the Challengers of the Fantastic #1 in 1997, and honestly, this is one of the scariest beings in the Amalgam universe. Brainiac and Galactus are so powerful on their own, but combined? Oh sweet heaven. I'll be seeing you soon. Finally, into number 1, Kang the Time Conqueror. The amalgamation of Kang the Conqueror and the Time Traveler, also known as Kronos Tut, is a time traveler with ties to ancient Egypt. He has a tendency to go negative after being defeated as well, whatever that means. He also became a major enemy of the Legion of Galactic Guardians 2099 of Earth 12772. He traveled to Earth 9602 and attempted to turn Washington DC into ancient Egypt, but was defeated by the Challengers of the Fantastic. Kane once also tried to absorb Spider-Boy of Earth 9602, a nexus of all realities, to gain access to every reality and timeline. He hired the Frightful Five of Earth 97061 to destroy the Times Square generator of their reality and to distract their Legion of Galactic Guardians long enough for him to kidnap and displace Spider-Boy. However, Spider-Boy was saved because of the intervention of the time-traveling living lightning lad, but not before Kang was able to literally start pulling Spider-Man and Superboy apart, beginning to return them to their original, separate, individual lives. So with that kind of juice, you can certainly say that Kronos Tut is probably the most powerful Amalgam Universe villain. Being able to, in essence, separate the characters again without having to be literally DC or Marvel. Jesus.